As he pointed out, he had to see little Martin go through this over and over again, because the police have videos that none of us are privy to and none of us would want to see, frankly, and they've been analyzing it over and over again, looking for every minute detail, and they were able to determine who did that.
And to that point, as Carmen Ortiz said, and I quote from her, she said it's an ongoing and active investigation, so it doesn't stop tonight. As of 10 o'clock on Friday night.
The threat has been removed. But now her real work of prosecuting this terrorist begins.
Right. And I think it was Governor Patrick who said that there are still many more questions as to all of the motives, why this took place, what were they thinking, where did they come up with these ideas. And he talked also about the collaboration of all of the law enforcement, saying they brought their A game. And
boy, did they ever.
Boy, did they ever. And, you know, President Obama, one of the first things he said when he spoke to the nation, and we're still awaiting him to speak to us momentarily, one of the first things that he said when he addressed the nation that Monday night was the fact that he was going to offer every resource. Let's get back to Amalia Beretta. And Amalia, who do you have with you right now? I see Dan Conley's with you, yes.
Yeah, I've got the Suffolk County District Attorney, Dan Conley. Thank you very much for joining us. What's the feeling tonight for you?
Well, it's a huge sense of relief. I was present at the marathon myself at the finish line. I had just left just a few minutes before the bombings occurred. I was back there very quickly thereafter, and from the very beginning, all the police agencies, all the prosecutorial agencies had one goal in mind, and that was apprehension and accountability. I was listening in for the last 2 hours during the operation today. Just relief that the officers all came out of it without any injuries, and we have our suspect, and we will hold him accountable in a court of law, and I think that's very, very important.
Are you confident, legally speaking, that every T has been crossed, every I has been dotted to get a prosecution on him, and that no mistakes have been made?
Well, just to be clear, I mean, we were in charge of the investigation with Boston Police until about 8 o'clock on Monday night, when the federal government, through the FBI and the U.S. Attorney, asserted jurisdiction. But I believe, based on what I know, that the federal authorities have all of the evidence that they need to hold this defendant accountable for his terrible, terrible crimes.
You've been watching this nonstop, I take it. You've been following this nonstop. I think today you said that you were following it.
Right. I mean, I was, on the day of the event, I was very much involved until the federal authorities asserted their own jurisdiction over the Terrorism Act. And then today, we have access, obviously, to Boston Police radio, so I was listening very carefully to the operation as it unfolded this evening, and I'm just so happy and relieved. Some of the voices on the radio.
Switch to the President of the United States.
So I'm just delighted that.
He is in debt to the people of Boston and the people of Massachusetts. After a vicious attack on their city, Bostonians responded with resolve and determination. They did their part as citizens and partners in this investigation. Boston police and state police and local police across the Commonwealth of Massachusetts responded with professionalism and bravery over 5 long days. And tonight, because of their determined efforts, we've closed an important chapter in this tragedy. I've been briefed earlier this evening by FBI Director Mueller. After the attacks on Monday, I directed the full resources of the federal government to be made available to help state and local authorities in the investigation and to increase security as needed. And over the past week, close coordination among federal, state, and local officials, sharing information, moving swiftly to track down leads, has been critical to this effort. They all worked as they should, as a team, and we are extremely grateful for that. We owe a tremendous debt of gratitude to all our outstanding law enforcement professionals. These men and women get up every day, they put on that uniform, they risk their lives to keep us safe, and as this week showed, they don't always know what to expect. So our thoughts are with those who were wounded in pursuit of the suspects, and we pray for their full recovery. We also send our prayers to the Collier family, who grieved the loss of their son and brother Sean. He was born to be a police officer, said his chief at MIT. He was just 26 years old. And as his family has said, he died bravely in the line of duty, doing what he committed his life to doing, serving and protecting others. So we're grateful to him. Obviously, tonight there are still many unanswered questions. Among them, why did young men who grew up and studied here as part of our communities and our country resort to such violence? How did they plan and carry out these attacks, and did they receive any help? The families of those killed so senselessly deserve answers. The wounded, some of whom now have to learn how to stand and walk and live again, deserve answers. And so I've instructed the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security and our intelligence community to continue to deploy all the necessary resources to support the investigation, to collect intelligence, and to protect our citizens.